They don't have the large selection of everything that I'm proposing for my website, but there could be copycats. Negative publicity, that would be a risk factor. System failure. For instance, if our website went down, that would completely shut down our company for a while until we could get it restored. So we should have a backup for every system. International markets. We have to be aware of international markets. As I mentioned, a lot of our products are made overseas, places like China and India. Intellectual property. There's always the risk of intellectual property conflicts in a business. So as I mentioned, we're expecting to turn profits very quickly, and I'll take any questions. Yep.
I just have two questions. One is just, I'm just trying to, I don't know much about this, but how do you decide the winner of a fight?
The winner of a fight is decided by a damage system, because obviously you're not going to actually kill someone, but if you hit them in the body, they're considered dead. Generally, in a day, they'll go through as many as maybe 50 fights, 50 large-scale battles. And for instance, if I'm fighting on the sidelines, just practicing with a friend, I'll probably have one or the other of us dead within 40 seconds. So we can do that if we're fighting for an hour. That's going to be a lot of separate.
Are there referees?
There are referees.
The other question was, as far as like warranties or returns, do they deal with you directly, or do they deal with the original manufacturer?
That is a good question, and that is something that I have not looked into, as far as warranties and returns. But the option of holding a small inventory of return items is definitely an option. Off the top of my head, an idea for that would be if we were going to be going to a large battle, for instance, and distributing flyers, we could have a booth. You know, I would expect to have a booth where people could access a laptop with our website, and maybe we'd have our returned items there on display for purchase on site. Yes.
Do you have any sort of like, I guess, risk management or any actions taken so that I guess parents, if like these are younger kids can play, I'm assuming.
There is usually an age limit of 15 or 16 associated with this.
Are you worried at all about one, people getting hurt,
injury,
and two, promoting violence in general?
The promotion of violence. As far as people getting hurt, I think that's more of a responsibility of the battle games than me as a manufacturer or a retailer of a good. Because we're not really the manufacturers. You know, if somebody uses something, they are either going to be suing the manufacturer or the company or the organization, the battle game organization. Not to mention the fact that in order to play either of these two sports, the participant must sign a waiver, like a ski waiver, so if they get hurt, they cannot sue. As far as promoting violence, I really don't think it's promoting violence, because even though it's a full contact sport, you're not actually hurting anyone. And if you're going to call this a promotion of violence, you might as well call high school football a promotion of violence or high school wrestling.
I'm not arguing like your opinion on it. I'm just saying, do you have like a plan set up in case people attack you saying that it's, you know, it's promoting violence or something like that?
I don't have a plan set up at the moment for, but that's something I was talking about with negative publicity. That is something that we have to be looking into and developing plans to take on. And the organizations themselves have dealt with these successfully for the past 30 years. Yes?
What are your first year revenues again?
First year revenues.
Total revenues?
Okay. You want the revenues or the profits?
First year total revenues?
First year total revenues are... That's it. First year total revenues we're expecting is $665,000.
$665,000?
665,000 US dollars.
And when were you projecting cash flow break even?
We're expecting cash flow in about month 8.
So how much money do you need to raise to support your business until month 8?
Under $50,000.
Between what and what?
All right. I said probably about $50,000.
$50,000. And what's your first year marketing budget?
First year marketing budget is about $25,000, $26,000.
And how many people did you say were participating in this sport at this time?
At this time, probably over 10,000.
10,000 people. And what were your third-year revenues?
Third-year revenues, it's going to be about 5 million. We expect.
So you're expecting 20% growth rate, you said, in the number of people participating?
At least 20% growth rate.
So by the third year, you're going to have 14,000 people, more or less, with 5 million in revenues. What is 5 million divided by 14,000? You have no math majors in the class?
People will be buying equipment as 5-year-old. An individual person. I'll probably be buying equipment.
357,000.
What is that, Jonathan? I can't hear you. Quiet up, please.
57,000.
$57,000?
357.
14,000.
That's not right.
314. Probably divided by 14.
14,000 people times 357,000 is more than 5 million.
357.
$357.
And that's definitely reasonable for someone to be spending in a year. Reasonable.
So you're saying you're going to get 100% market share and you're going to have $350 per person per year?
Potentially. One of the things I didn't mention is the option of partnering with the organization Spellgarth and Dagger here to increase their growth rates, because that's a organization that will feed into us as a business. So it'll be an incentive for us and for them, because they'll have a larger organization and we'll have a larger customer base. So at 15-20% growth rate is what it is right now. That could be increased if we were marketing for them as well as for us.
Thank you.
The average retail price of like armor, for example.
Armor, if you can find a suit of quality armor for less than $250, you're doing an excellent job.
So basically, somebody buys one thing and they're pretty close to that 350.
Yes.
I was going to say, to follow on Alex's question, so I'm getting into the game and I want a basic, I want armor and a weapon. What's the average price for someone to get into the game? Because it's more than just getting armor, right? Most people buy arms as well?
Most people to get in actually will purchase only a weapon or some clothing. Armor usually comes within a year or so after they really decide they want to get into it, because it is a very expensive purchase. But to get into the game, weapons are usually between about $10 and $50, depending on what you're getting. For instance, a bow and arrows is going to be significantly more. If you're buying a bow and arrows, you're going to be upwards of 120. But just for swords, it's going to be about 10 to 30.
And a follow-up question, are you going to do just-in-time inventory or build up an inventory, and how are you housing the inventory?
We're expecting to do just-in-time inventory or drop shipping.
And what's the delay time from putting in an order from your supplier?
Putting it in an order from our supplier, we don't actually, we haven't talked to any suppliers yet, so we're not exactly sure on that.
Okay.
We expect it to be between 5 and 7 days.
Okay. 5 to 7 days for the manufacturer.
That's what you do. Yes. Here's for a while.
It seems like you have a really specific demographic for your website. Do you have any ideas on how to maybe pull in people that aren't so familiar with it? Are you offering anything that's not exactly related to specific gaming, but maybe something that an average person that's not
Like
Yes.
fantasy gear for role players?
Yes.
to somebody else, that's someone who's not so involved that maybe to try and get
Yes,
involved?
and that's also something, it won't only be battle gamers buying our supplies, even though that's the niche market we're targeting to. The armor can be used in other live-action role-playing and reenactments. The weapons are really the only thing that's specific to here. The clothing and armor can be sold to any number of people, and there are millions of those in the United States. So that's also a potential expansion for the market. It's very easy once you have a niche market in here to expand into related sports that fight with rattan or latex weapons as opposed to foam. Is there another question?
One more question and then we'll call.
I was just going to ask about, you said that the armory and all the weapons stuff is going to be manufactured in China,
Some of it.
but then you're going to ship 5 to 7 days?
I'm not exactly sure. As I said, I haven't talked to suppliers. Most of the stuff that's manufactured overseas is armor, because it's manufactured in factories, a lot of the chain mail. Weaponry is probably going to be manufactured in the U.S.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.